Greetings from the EL Congress in Šibenik, Croatia. We are here in the NeoGames booth with Moti Malul, the Chief Executive Officer of NeoGames, appointed around 5 years ago, and you've been on quite a tear since then. Your presentation, which was so good just about an hour ago, there was a quote that we're all familiar with, the key to survivability. It's the willingness and ability to change. But you could tell us a little bit about the way you've been innovating over the last few years, but especially a little bit going forward, how we're looking going forward.
I think maybe because we were born digital, we are used to a frequent change and a change pace that is probably more frequent than traditional, because that's where we were born. We were born in a digital domain which has frequent and constant changes. So when we brought, for example, early on the innovation that we brought with instant games to our industry, we did it through change. We did not just take replica games and did them online. We thought, okay, what can we do different? What exists behind the scenes that we can bring forward front stage and use it in order to create engaging games? And that was the first claim to fame that we had as a company. And we constantly push for change in the mindset. And when we came to the US market and we brought our technology and our games, it wasn't only the games, it was also the way that we harness retail in omnichannel. We did a lot of changes over there with many innovation factors. So it's a constant. We think that change is the pattern. You need to be adaptable to changes themselves because they will be different. And for example, as a company, when we realized about 3-4 years ago that, hey, our industry is changing outside of the US. If you look in Canada, if you look at Europe, if you look at Brazil, if you look at other places, lotteries are becoming full power gaming houses. Okay, all of a sudden Sazka has sport betting and gaming. If you look at Europe today, look at the number of lotteries which became online full power gaming houses. And we said to ourselves, okay, again, time to change, time to lead through change. So we said we need to bring knowledge and product and talent from the areas that we did not have traditionally, which was lottery, in order to bring that into the lottery customers which we serve so proudly, in order to make them better. So that has brought significant change, which we just announced about a year ago, in which we added to our group PariPlay, that is a content aggregator that has been endorsed by many of our customers in such a short period of time. It's been live in Sazka, it's been live in Alberta, it will be live next year in US lotteries as well. Also B2Bet, which is the sport betting provider. So this is and it teaches us, because we did not know these areas, and all of a sudden we just know them now. And with this spirit, now Aristocrat, which is the largest provider globally of gaming and games, having both the traditional gaming aspects as well as the online digital games, which are not even real money. So they have in their portfolio just strategy games, casual games. Think about the innovation that we can bring from those other worlds which are not yet introduced into lotteries in an enticing way. It's not only titles which are successful, it's ideas, it's thoughts, it's gamification from social, it's ideas from strategy games, it's multiplayer, it's all of those things which we believe will play a key role into the future. So it's very exciting that such an important player in the global industry is coming into lotteries through this acquisition.
Exciting, as you were just speaking about the different ways in which lottery can deliver more value, and it's like, wow. And to think lottery has been as successful as it is, with basically a traditional product that the consumer loves. That's why it's so successful. But what a high upside potential for further innovation and new ideas.
Yes, exactly. And I think lotteries and the vendor community that supports lotteries needs to work jointly on innovation. I think, and I mentioned it in the panel that we had recently, that in some cases we and others feel that when we come to lotteries with ideas, it is this is not possible because of. I think the mentality needs to change to say, it is indeed not possible, but let's together think of how to make it possible. What haven't you considered? And I think, we have only that far that we can go with our thinking of bringing that to the table. It's the mutual goal that will create magic. When the legal, many cases we ask lotteries when we meet them first, can you bring your legal team? And they look at us, why do you need our legal team? We say, because we don't want your legal team to be the blockers. We want them to be a part of the round table of solutions. Yeah. And when you bring them to the round table early enough and you explain to them what you're trying to achieve, you see that there's a mentality change of saying, okay, my role as being the legal counsel of the lottery or someone that plays that regulatory position, I can guide how to create change. And I'm not necessarily being consulted at the very end when there's something very firm that has already ended up in something that I cannot approve. So we encourage that discussion, the roundtable discussion that involves not only product people, but also the broadest set of people that has a say, I would say, and our stakeholders in the process.
Yeah. Well, and so instead of talking so much, there are a lot of constraints, and we know that. But let's talk about what we can do. It's like we can't do all these things, but what can we do?
Yes, and I remember that when I first came to the lottery industry, back then it was all about Candy Crush. And people said, let's bring Candy Crush to the lotteries. And I said, you can't bring as is Candy Crush, and if you come as the Candy Crush vendor and say to lotteries, this is what I have, take it, it will not work. It doesn't mean that we cannot seek for what was successful in Candy Crush. I sound old when I say Candy Crush because Candy Crush is obviously a few years old, but there is a version of Candy Crush in every year, right? What was successful there that we can adopt within what we are allowed to do? What was successful there from a player experience, from a broader social experience? What can we bring from there? And our instant game studio have brought many new innovations into the lottery industry, looking left and right and understanding, okay, there are successful things that have been adopted by the broader gaming community, whether it's traditional land-based, whether it's social, whether it's casual, whether it's mobile. Let's try to see what can be adopted, and I think that has been the magic that we have created with our successful portfolio.
Embracing the opportunity to change and adapt as well as adopt. Moti Malul, Chief Executive Officer for NeoGames, congratulations for all that you're accomplishing and best wishes going forward.
Thank you, Paul.